Navalapa Jaya Kiri Varadari Jaya Kiri Varadari Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Kiri Varadari Jaya Kiri Varadari Yashoda Nandana Radhadana Ranjan. Loud. Loud as well. Play another prayer cartels. Yashoda Nandana Radhadana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Radhadana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjan Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhavan Jaya Kunja Bihari Vishnupad Paramamsa Privajaka Hasto Dhart Shri Shipad His Divine Grace Srila Abhay Charanarvanda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Shri Radha Govinda Ki Andavanir Jalakadasi Ki Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Narayanam Namaskritya Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nastapreshu Bhagaveshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Śrimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 23, Devahuti's Lamentation, verses 18 through 20. We will chant 19 together. 18 and 20 do not have purports. I'll read 18 first myself. Devasu Vidruma Dehalya Bhattam Varja Kapatavat Sikareshu Indranileshu Hema Kumber Adishritam. The palace was very beautiful, with its coral thresholds and the entrances and its doors bedecked with diamonds. Gold pinnacles crowned its domes of sapphire. Text 19. Chakshumat Padmaraja Agyai Vajra Bitishu Nirmati Justam Vichitra Vaitanai Maha-arhai, Hematoranai, Chakshumat Padma Ragagrier, Vajrabitishu Nirmatai, Justam Vichitra Vaitaner Mahaver Hematoranai Chakshumat Padma Ragagrier Vajrabitichu Nirmitai Justam Vichitra Vaitaner Maharir Hematoranai Chakshumat Padmaragagyer Vajrabitichu Nirmitai Justam Vichitra Vaitaner Maharir Hematoranai. Chakshumat, as if possessed of eyes. Padmaraja, with rubies. Argyai, choicest. Vajra, of diamond. Pitishu, on the walls. Nirmati, set. Justam, furnished. Vichitra, various. Vaitanai, with canopies. Maha Arhai, greatly valuable. Hematoranai, with gates of gold. Translation. Could the men come more this way? So I don't want to be turning all the time. Thank you. With the choicest rubies set in its diamond walls, it appears as though possessed of eyes. It was furnished with wonderful canopies and greatly valuable gates of gold. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Artistic jewelry and decorations giving the appearance of eyes are not imaginary. Even in recent times, the Mughal emperors constructed their palaces with decorated birds with eyes. The stones have been taken away by the authorities, but the decorations are still present in some of the castles constructed by the Mughal emperors in New Delhi. The royal palaces were built with jewels and rare stones resembling eyes, and thus at night they would give off reflective light without need of lamps. Hamsa pranvata vratais tacha tacha nikujitam. Kritiman manyamanai svan adi ra ya di rudyava rudyacha. Here and there in that palace were multitudes of live swans and pigeons, as well as artificial swans and pigeons so lifelike that the real swans rose above them again and again, thinking them live birds like themselves. Thus the palace vibrated with the sounds of these birds. Om Jnana Timirandasya Nandasya Chakshurvitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapidam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Didakti Svapanantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Taparakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sra Shri Rupam Sarvajatam Sagana Bhaganatam Vidam Dam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopi Vedanta Radhakanta Namostude Jayatam Srito Pangur Mama Mandamatir Gati Matsar Vasva Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohana Divya Brindaranya Kalpachumada Srimad Ratnagara Sringasana Sto Srimad Radha Shri Govinda Devo Pestalabi Sevyamano Swarami Sriman Rasa Prasarambi Bamsi Bhatatastitaha Karshan Venu Svanar Gopir Gopinata Shriestuna Dr. Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavana Sati Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpaturubhyascha Kripasindhubhye Vishapatitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it is very nice utilization in the service of the Lord for the Lord's pleasure. What is that? Kujat Kokila. What is the fifth verse of Sad Goswami Astakam? They were engaged in bhajan in the holy land of Vrindavan. And that land was filled with so much valuable jewels and stones and all different glorious opulence. So just as we're attracted by beautiful things, if one wants to solidify a relationship, one must get a wedding ring and present the more costly and valuable and big, that's proportionate to how much you actually love the person. Supposedly. But actually, in relationship to Krishna and his pure devotees, the loving exchange, it's not just, they write songs in this world, we got nothing but I love you, But it's backed up with glorious opulence and beauty of so much wonderful variety. So the beauty of red rubies and green emeralds, it's described that when Radha and Krishna come together, they look very beautiful, like a greenish sapphire and gold come together, and they give off this very beautiful aura. But that's not like in this world when mundane, atheistic people who are hell-bent on sense gratification get opulence and decorate their bodies. It's diametrically opposed, just as it's described in Ramananda Sambad, the difference between gold and iron, the difference between actual love, prema, and lust. So everything in this world is tainted by lust, but we have to be, in our progressive Krishna consciousness, always very careful not to think that renunciation means to become voidists or impersonalists. Prabhupada says in one place, negation of the non-essentials does not mean negation of the essentials. So therefore, deity worship. We have the deities of Radha and Krishna, Radha Govinda, and we as neophytes are instructed to worship them in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan with all opulence. So it's not that the opulence of Lakshmi Narayan in Vaikuntha is greater than what seems to be the very simple, rural, and less opulent situation of Krishna's Goloka Vrindavan. But actually, you can take a peek at exalted literatures like Vrindavan Mahimamrita by Prabodhananda Saraswati, who is actually Tungavidya Saki, one of the 8 chief gopis of Radha and Krishna, and she is understood to be the most scholarly and wise of them all on one level. And it's described in this literature, the opulence of Vrindavan is so great and so variegated and eclipses unlimited numbers of Vaikuntha planets. So the real opulence is love of Godhead, and that provides or facilitates or creates what we see being done here. So the marriage and union of Kardama Muni and Devahuti was to bring about the appearance of the incarnation of Godhead, Kapila Dev. So we see as the example of their very great devotion individually and as a team, as husband and wife. In the case of Kardama Muni, living completely renounced and detached in the forest in his Bhajan Kutir or hermitage. And Devahuti, she is brought up as the daughter, the princess of Svayambhuva Manu. Svayambhuva Manu, the most powerful personality entrusted with such great responsibility and living in such great opulence. She giving that up to serve Kardama Muni in the forest, and now, so to speak, now great opulence is being manifested. Even it's mentioned that Kardama Muni was amazed at the spiritual potency that was invested in him to create all of these great wonders. And Devahuti, not being, okay, now I got all this opulence and wealth, now become all puffed up and egotistic and forget the devotional service of the Lord. But the incarnation of Godhead, Kapila Dev, will come, and everything that was foretold and everything that is they understood was their service, they will perform without any mistake or deviation. So opulence may be there for a devotee or may not be there for a devotee. It may come, it may go, but the devotee is always the same. Prabhupada was stayed for the better part of the month of January 1977 in the undeveloped land in Bhubaneswar, where the only structure was like a grass hut. And Prabhupada's illness was beginning at that time. And he said to Gauragovinda Maharaj, you can build me a big, great, opulent palace, but I would prefer to stay here. And I believe he made a similar statement about the first grass house in Mayapur on the newly acquired land in 1972. Whereas at the same time, Prabhupada, his quarters in Bombay, very, very opulent, Juhu Beach Temple. And Prabhupada wanted that so so people could understand the position of the spiritual master, the position of the founder Acharya. Ultimately, though, of those rooms, Prabhupada said, I cannot take these with me, I'm leaving them here for you. When he purported the sixth canto, Narada Muni cursed by Prajapati Daksha, that you cannot remain in one place for any longer than 3 days. Yes, this is very good, I accept this curse. So Prabhupada related that's the general curse to those in the renounced order of life, that they can't stay in one place, they have to continuously move. And he related it personally to 18 hours. Our process is 24 hours. So the BBT devotees said, well, if we make 24-hour round-the-clock shifts, and well, the art department is in Henry Street in New York, and the BBT and the publishing is here, we'll have to bring everybody together here in Los Angeles. Then we can do it, Prabhupada said. And the cherry on top of the pie, but Prabhupada, we will need you to stay here during this time so we can ask you any question. And Prabhupada, yes, he agreed to that. He didn't stay the entire time, but most of the time. Anyway, when it was all said and done, the devotees felt, wow, we can do anything. We've done this, putting the books on the altar of Rukmini Dwarkadish. Everyone is crying in ecstasy, chanting Prabhupada's Pranam mantra in Sankirtan again and again. We can actually spread this movement, and we can actually take over the world and make Krishna consciousness the predominant way of life on this planet. That was the potency. That is the potency of Srila Prabhupada. Not was, is. How is it that so many people, some 46 years almost after Srila Prabhupada's departure, are coming forward, being inspired by Srila Prabhupada and understanding him as the spiritual master of this planet? So the spiritual master of such caliber transcends the modes of nature, transcends time, transcends the Mahatattva, is always with Krishna and Goloka Vrindavan. Just like Narottam Das Thakur glorifies Rupa Goswami. From the spiritual world of Goloka Vrindavan, he shines down his mercy and uplifts this afflicted soul. And it's the very meaning of my life and everything that I do. Oh, Srila Rupa Goswami, like that. So we are not in such contact with such opulence, and even Prabhupada said of the deity worship, you should get, what do they call it, artificial? You know, we're not having real rubies and diamonds and sapphire and even the helmet that there's many things that we have gold-plated, but we have to be very, very careful. So we have some security system, and we bring the helmet out, and it's a great oversight if it's left here after the morning program and everybody leaves, because anybody could walk in and steal it. So, but in the spiritual world, there's no question of thievery, there's no question of burglary. So unlimited opulence is there, and everyone is simply using it for the pleasure of Krishna and to increase the loving network, the loving exchange between Krishna and his unlimited pure devotees in the spiritual world. So this is Kardama Muni, and he is an empowered devotee, an empowered yogi, and he is creating this beautiful palace with so much opulence. But let's take a peek at what Krishna actually does or can do. When the demon Banasura was defeated, and he was such a rogue, one of the terrible things that he did was that he kidnapped the daughters of 16,100 kings and kept them imprisoned in his own citadel or place for his own nefarious purposes, and Krishna rescued them. And according to Vedic system, a girl who goes out of home before her marriage can never be very, very difficult to get her properly married. They're in a very difficult situation. And so, of course, we know the story that they prayed to Krishna that you become our husband. And in one place, Prabhupada is describing the story, and Prabhupada said, Krishna just said, yes, come on, like that. He entered the palace of Bhaumasura, which was equipped with all kinds of opulence, or let's say stolen opulence. There's some mentioned here. He describes particularly the British who looted India during their 200 and how many years reign was it? 200 something. Taken away by the authorities. Prabhupada says in another place, taken away and dispatched to the British Museum. And it's interesting that the first temple in London was just nearby the British Museum, Bury Place. There's the story of Prabhupada, I believe it was in Regent's Park. He's taking a morning walk, and they have, it's like botanical gardens, many different trees. And so there's a eucalyptus tree. And Prabhupada instructs the devotees to get him some eucalyptus twigs because you can use them for brushing your teeth. Unlike we were all brainwashed here in the 60s to use fluoride, which is like the worst type of poison. Anyway, and so there's a park attendant, and you're not allowed to cut the trees, even take a, So he comes up and starts an argument, maybe even wanted to write a ticket or, something. And Prabhupada, I'm not sure, it's not said whether he said this to the attendant or after the squabble was over, he said this, said, your country took whatever, stole all of the opulence, took whatever you want from India, and now you won't even let us take a twig from your park. And Prabhupada described, he related a cartoon in the newspaper just after World War II that the British lion was in traction in the hospital, all his arms and legs so the British were defeated, or they lost their position as the world power after World War II, and Prabhupada described this as their reaction to their colonial imperialism, especially what they did in India. So, Bhaumasura, like that, stolen opulence, and in the palace, Lord Krishna saw 16,100 young princesses who had been kidnapped and held captive there. When the princesses saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna enter the palace, they immediately became captivated by the beauty of the Lord and prayed for his causeless mercy. Within their minds, they decided to accept Lord Krishna as their husband without hesitation. Each one of them prayed to Providence that Krishna might become her husband. Sincerely and seriously, they offered their hearts to the lotus feet of Krishna with an unalloyed devotional attitude. So this is nice. They're approaching Krishna in a pure devotional attitude, in complete surrender and supplication, and subsequently they're all taken care of, each given an amazing palace with unlimited opulence. As the supersoul in everyone's heart, Krishna could understand their uncontaminated desire, and he agreed to accept them as his wives. Thus, he arranged for suitable garments and ornaments for them, and each of them, seated on a palanquin, was dispatched to Dwarka city. Krishna also collected unlimited wealth from the palace, reclaimed it. If one steals diamonds from the jewelry store, it's not just that one has to go to jail, one has to give back the diamonds also. Yes. And similarly, what Krishna did for all of his queens, 16,100, but the 8 principal queens, headed by Rukmini and Satyabhama, is described. So, we can ask for questions or comments and or read something about what is the Pandava Nirjala Kadasi. Any votes or suggestions? Okay. So this is from the Brahma Vaivarta Purana. Once Bhimasena, the younger brother of Maharaj Yudhishthira, asked the great sage Srila Vyasadeva, is it possible to return to the spiritual world without having observed all the rules and regulations of the Ekadasi fasts? Bhima said, O greatly intelligent grandfather, my brother Yudhishthira, my dear mother Kunti, and my beloved wife Draupadi, as well as Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadev, fast completely on Ekadasi and strictly follow all the rules and regulations of that sacred day. Being very religious, they always tell me that I should also fast on that day. But, O grandfather, I tell them that I cannot live without eating, because hunger is unbearable to me. I give widely in charity and I worship Sri Keshava properly, but I cannot fast on Ekadasi. Please tell me how I can obtain the same result without fasting. Hearing these words, Srila Vyasadeva replied, if you want to go to the heavenly planets and avoid the hellish planets, you should indeed observe a fast on both the light and dark Ekadasis. Bhima said, O greatly intelligent grandfather, please listen to my plea, O greatest of Munis. Since I cannot live if I eat only once in a day, how can I possibly live if I fast completely? Within my stomach burns a special fire named Brika, the fire of digestion. Only when I eat to my full satisfaction does the fire in my stomach become satisfied. O great sage, I might possibly be able to fast only once, so I beg you to tell me of an Ekadasi that includes all other Ekadasis. I shall faithfully observe that fast and hopefully still become eligible for liberation. Srila Vyasadeva replied, O king, you have heard from me about the various kinds of occupational duties, such as elaborate Vedic ceremonies. In the Kali Yuga, however, no one will be able to observe all these occupational duties properly. I shall therefore tell you how, at practically no expense, one can endure some small austerity and achieve the greatest benefit and result in happiness. The essence of what is written in the Vedic literatures known as the Puranas is that one should not eat or on either the dark or light fortnight Ekadasi. So this is a light fortnight Ekadasi, because the Purnima is in 4 days' time. One who fasts on Ekadasi is saved from going to the hellish planets. Hearing Vyasadev's words, Bhimasena, the strongest of all warriors, became frightened and began to shake like a leaf on a banyan tree in a strong wind. The frightened Bhimasena said, O grandfather, what should I do? I am completely unable to fast twice a month throughout the year. Please tell me of the one fasting day that will bestow the greatest benefit upon me. Vyasadeva replied, without drinking even water, you should fast on the Ekadasi that occurs during the light fortnight of the month of Jesta, May, June, when the sun travels in the sign of Gemini and Taurus. So, okay, 1 day a year, but especially in India, it's the hottest day of the year. Somebody look up Vrindavan. What is the weather there today? According to learned personalities, on this day, one may bathe and perform Achman for purification, but while performing Achman, one may drink only that amount of water equal to a drop of gold, or that amount which is a single mustard seed can be immersed in. Now let's keep in mind that this was spoken in Dwapara Yuga, the end of Dwapara Yuga, albeit before Kali Yuga, and this is the instruction to Bhimasena. But we have Srila Prabhupada, who has made everything very clear for us, especially now at the time that we're living in, and we should suffice to be fixed on always being alert to what pleased Srila Prabhupada. A very simple summary or formula is that one should accept austerity to the degree that it enhances one's ability to perform one's devotional service, both immediately and long term. And that also should be, that formula should be applied according to time, place, and circumstance, and also the stages of one's life, or to the degree of one's absorption or advancement in devotional service, to the degree of one's maturity or lesser immaturity. Sound good? Okay. One must certainly not eat anything, for if he does so, he breaks his fast. This rigid fast is in effect from sunrise on Ekadasi to sunrise on Dwadasi, which is something like 5:30 in the morning. If a person endeavors to observe this great fast very strictly, he easily achieves the results of observing all 24 Ekadasi fasts throughout the entire year. I'm not going to read it all. Now hear the specific merit one gets by fasting on this Ekadasi. The Supreme Lord Keshava, who holds a conch, disc, club, and lotus, personally told me everyone should take shelter of me and follow my instructions. Then he told me that one who fasts on this Ekadasi without drinking water or eating becomes free of all sinful reactions, and that one who observes the difficult Nirjal fast on Jesta, Shukla, Ekadasi truly reaps the benefit of all other Ekadasi fasts. In the Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, when all the principles of the Vedas will have been destroyed or greatly minimized, and when there will be no proper charity or observance of the ancient Vedic principles and ceremonies, how will there be any means of purifying the self? But there is the opportunity to fast on Ekadasi and become free of all one's past sins. Prabhupada told the devotees of Radha Damodar in, not exactly sure, Pragosh tells this story, that, who was it? Anyway, one Muni, one great personality in the Bhāgavatam, performed penance and austerity for 60,000 years in the Satya Yuga. He said all the benefit of doing that in the Satya Yuga can be attained now by going on Sankirtan for just a few days only. And the whole room just like roared, just like, it's like the roof blew off, the temple. It's just like saying like, okay, here it is, this like super expensive, whatever it is. But for the next 15 minutes, you can have this for just $1, and everybody will, go crazy, Of this there is no doubt. O tiger among men, whoever fasts on this Ekadasi truly becomes a great person and achieves all wealth, gains strength and health. So many times you see the benedictions, one gets a son, or one will become famous, one will be adored all over the world. If Krishna wants us to be adored all over the world, okay. If he wants us to be ridiculed and scorned all over the world, that's okay too. One who is equal in happiness and distress, fame and infamy, praise and blame, etc., is very, very dear to me. And at the fearful moment of death, the terrible Yamadutas, whose complexions are yellow and black and who brandish huge clubs and twirl mystic pasha ropes in the air, will refuse to approach him. Rather, such a faithful soul will at once be taken to the supreme abode of Lord Vishnu by the Vishnu Dutas, whose transcendently beautiful forms are clothed in gorgeous yellow garments, and who each holds a disc, club, conch, and lotus in their 4 hands. It is to gain all these benefits that one should certainly fast on this important Ekadasi, even from water. When the other Pandavas heard about the benefits of this Ekadasi, they resolved to observe it exactly as Vyasadeva had explained it to their brother. All the Pandavas observed it by refraining from eating and drinking, and thus this day became known as Pandava Nirjal Ekadasi. Hare Krishna. And of course, in Kali Yuga, let's see if we can recall or remember what is the primary and supreme benefit in this Kali Yuga by performing what activity? I'll give you a hint. It is the Yuga. We can all say together, the explanation is 16 words. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Any questions or comments? Is there breakfast? I'll ask a question. Is there breakfast today or no? Nothing. Cutting some fruits. Anyone? Tulsi Das Prabhu, loud and clear.
Hare Krishna. So we heard that Ekadashi starts from sunrise.
That's what it says here.
Ekadashi sunrise. So technically, my question is, if someone comes at 4 o'clock and drinks water, is this breaking of Ekadashi or no?
4 o'clock in the morning? Sunrise to the next sunrise. You want to take it up with more technical, analytic devotees, that's, to satisfy, your search for the ultimate truth. And I can just simply say that. But I'll say it myself, when I was younger, and this information first came out, I was all over it, and I did it for a long time. But now, I just to keep the Harinam going, and keep myself going, I do what I need to do. Which, anyway, one should keep one's bhajans, apana bhajana kata, one should not speak about one's bhajans, but that's as far as I'll say, Whatever you need to do to keep your service going. I mean, you see the statements, there was an incident of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, there was a Janmashtami, and everybody is fasting, and, of course on Janmashtami, it's a Ekadasi fasting, or if you're going to take prasad. And this one devotee who is, for some reason or another, I think he needed to eat grains, and he was going to preach, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta unhesitatingly said yes, and even instructed his disciples to cook for him, and cooking grains on Ekadasi. And there's a statement of Srila Prabhupada to devotees in North Europe and Russia that even if you have to eat meat to survive, and even Prabhupada coming over here, he brought bags of cereal, and people were telling him, just like his godbrother tried to discourage him, that this is in 1959. In America, nothing is done by personal meetings. Everything is done through television. Said, and the other god brother, you have to wear pant and shirt, and you learn use knife and fork, and you eat. Prabhupada said, well, they tell me only meat is available. So he'll say, I'll just eat potatoes. You can find potatoes anywhere, hopefully. Unless they make an artificial famine. Anyway, anything else? Yes.
The benefits, seem to be like freedom from sinful reactions and all this type of stuff. But we know that, all, like freedom from sinful reaction is achieved just by chanting. So Constance is described as the mother of devotion. So how do these activities foster devotion?
What does Bhaktivinoda Thakur say in the famous Shuddha Bhakatacharya, just that? Lord Chaitanya my dear mother, I beg one thing from you. Please do not eat grains on the Ekadasi day. So it is something personally extended to us by Lord Krishna, by Lord Chaitanya. But again, people approach devotional service with mixed motivation. Indeed, Lord Kapila Devi gives a whole discussion in the beginning of his teachings in The Glories of Devotional Service, chapter 25, coming very soon. So what is your motivation? Just like we heard, the princesses, they, with sincere devotional mood, with right motivation, they approach the Lord. The Lord is superstar in everyone's heart, can understand their mentality. We're begging Krishna to accept our service. It's not that we do everything, even pakka, with all rules and regulations that Krishna is bound to accept. And again, Upadeshamrita, all rules and regulations, but not for the sake of spiritual advancement or discarding the rules and regulations and acting independently or whimsically. What is your motivation? Krishna Kripa Prabhu.
There's a little section in the Nectar Devotion where Prabhupada says the basic principle is not just to fast, but to increase one's faith and love for Govinda or Krishna. The real reason for observing fasting on Ekadashi is to minimize the demands of the body and to engage our time in the service of the Lord by chanting or performing similar service. The best thing to do on fasting days is to remember the pastimes of Govinda and to hear his holy name constantly.
Thank you very much. So actually, we could see this as an opportunity to accelerate and increase our chanting of Hare Krishna. And the best type of chanting of Hare Krishna is to do so to spread the glories of the Lord. Prabhupada says, what is the symptom of one who loves Krishna? He says he wants to see his Lord's name and fame spread all over the world. So I can't go on Harinam today because I'm fasting, and then I'm comatose, practically I need to be lowered down. We should make a fork, like a pulley system until the elevator is moved. I can't walk, I can't move. I'm by my austerity, I'll bring the whole world under my conquest like Hiranyakashipu. Just look at me, I'm fasting, where all these other neophytes, they're eating 3 times a day up to their neck, just see how advanced I am, proud, But at the same time, you might surprise yourself that you can actually fast and do more austerity. You might, So this is between you and Krishna ultimately, but, and simultaneous, but certainly in the beginning, have some guidance from your spiritual master and shiksha, people you have faith in. Prabhupada says, use your common sense, and if you don't have any, ask someone who does. Okay, so even though there's not much to breakfast, but still it's just after 9 o'clock. I think we covered all the bases. You could probably find this online or the book if you want to read the whole thing. I didn't read it all. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. We'll see you there in the square, Union Square. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada.